Dun dun ding 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 ding. This is the Stay Sassy podcast episode 2. That's our janky intro theme song that the Sassy PM was debating if I was gonna do this time and give us feedback because it may or may not be our future intro. Sassy PM, what's up?
Yeah, we need to put some ads or something on this so we can buy 90 cents of Suno credits. So I don't have to listen to that anymore. But let's dive into it.
Let's do it. What do you want to talk about today, Sassy PM?
I think we should just talk, since we don't have too much time and we're going to do a bit of a speed round today. I just want to talk about roadmaps, man. I just want to talk about what are the best things that people do when they're setting a roadmap and what are the dumbest fucking things that people do when they're setting a roadmap, just so that people have those quick sound bites in their head of what should I actually be thinking about.
Yeah, I love it. We get a lot of questions and sassy questions about roadmaps. It's a very common thing that we talk about with our team and we talk about with people when we're talking about just sort of like advice and generally what to do. So, love the topic. Sassy PM, what are some of the best things that you've seen when setting your roadmap?
Well, I want to start actually with the silliest thing that I see, which is I think
Hmm.
that there's so many teams out there that just become like big old true believers about some sort of very extreme dogmatism of either the customer is always right, I'm just always going to build whatever the last person with 20 bucks in their wallet said that I should do, or, and I call this kind of the Google style bad habit, these teams that just never, ever, ever compromise on what they're going to put onto the roadmap. It's like we've got our vision, and for what it's worth, in Google's case, it's often not a very good vision. I've got my vision. I'm building that. The customer is wrong. If I'd asked them what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, which is like not what they would have said anyway. And I'm just going to build down that road. And I think that falling on either one of those extremes is the sort of thing that in practice you almost never see a large company doing because it's just so boneheaded that you will just never be successful if you're that dogmatic.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think people get into that habit sometimes when you get into these cycles of like annual planning and they're I need to have this roadmap and I need to my job is to say what we're going to do, and it's almost like if we cede ground on that, then that means that I didn't do my job well enough and I need to have this roadmap super planned out so I can do this weird algebra with resourcing of I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
9 projects and each project takes 2 engineers, and that's all bullshit. Reality never works in that kind of simple, like, really, when you think about resourcing, it should be, do I need more people or do I need a little bit more people, or am I pretty good? And it's anything that looks like I need 4 engineers in 7 months to do a 3 month project because that's what it's, you're just setting yourself up for some weird administrative task that is not going to make sense, and people get into that mode, whereas reality is much more nuanced, it's much more compromising, and it does take some coaching because I think people, they want to show a process, they want to show diligence because it's their job, but how do you coach people to be nuanced, realistic without having no process at all?
Exactly. And it goes to something that we've also mentioned before in some tweets about this idea of the false precision of anxious managers, where you want to feel like if you've got a process that is super buttoned up, that is super, super specific and precise, and it's going to be like a military operation, like this roadmap's going to be like D-Day, that everything's going to be okay. In reality, it's you're building software. You have no idea what you're going to have to code, and you have no idea what customers are really going to like for sure until you actually launch it. And as a result, all that precision is just completely wasted calories. And the problem is that it exhausts people. And then people start to focus on the precision. They start to focus on the instrumentation of the roadmap rather than what is someone going to actually pay me for? When someone opens their phone tomorrow, what is somebody going to tap on because it's actually fun, because it's actually useful? And it's just such a weird kind of overly processed. It's like the processed meat of building a roadmap, and I think it's really really silly. And what I often find is that the best PMs are very single minded about things. Like I think this stuff's going to be useful. And it's going to be easy to build. And so those are the two things that they always have in their head. Those are the calibration levers that they're throwing. It's never like what's going to fit in the roadmap, what's going to be fewer story points. What has the right number of carefully instrumented user research around it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I would say that there's, when we talk about roadmaps, there's two kinds of roadmaps. There's product roadmaps and technical roadmaps. And I would say on the technical roadmap front, the things that I see most commonly be a challenge is people don't even know where to start. Because PMs, I think in general, they have a process, they Google a process, they learn about a process, they know where to start, but it's sort of sometimes they start in the wrong place and it's sort of not the right process. A lot of engineering managers, they don't even know where to start when it comes to a technical roadmap, and they start in kind of predictably the wrong place, which is ask your team what they think we should do. It feels very democratic. It feels, you can make people happy, but it's something that people need to get in your head is if you just have a meeting and you just cold ask the question, what should we do? You're going to get shitty answers. You're going to get really bad answers. And it's going to spread the spectrum from things that are just not the best thing to do to truly bad ideas. And the problem is when
Yeah.
you try to have a technical roadmap that way, you then put yourself in a position where you have to tell other people that's not a good idea. It's you set yourself up for this terrible interaction. Like, what do you think we should do? And then you either have to do a bad thing if you realize it's a bad thing, or you have to go, I think you actually had a bad idea. And most people don't do that, so they actually just do these projects that are suboptimal. When you're doing a technical roadmap, and I wrote a piece about this, it's really just the simplest thing is what are your problems? What are your pages? What's causing stability issues? What's causing actual drag on development? And it should be quantifiable. It should be obvious. You have that data. Go look at that data and then go say, how do we stop having these problems? It's really that simple. And if you do that, it might not be there might be some kind of golden goose tech debt thing out there that's like higher order, but for the most part, you will be solving the problems that you have, the problems that have happened before and what could recur. It's super high valuable stuff, and you really don't put yourself into a position where you say, hey, I asked you to be an artist about what we should do, and I think your art's trash. It's like you said that there's 5 pages that are caused by this, and this is how to fix it. And it's like, if I agree with both of those statements, then I agree with you in general. And so I would say when it comes to the technical roadmap, people don't know where to get started. Just start with solving your problems. It's the most
Yep.
straightforward thing to do, and do not start with asking a room of people what their ideas are, because you're gonna put yourself in a position to have to say, I think you have a bad idea, or to have to say, we'll try it out and we'll maybe like experiment with it. And you're like 9 months
Yeah.
into it. It's just
Doesn't work. Yep. And it goes along with this idea, which really does span actually the product and the technical roadmap. It actually also spawns like partner services roadmaps and even like financial planning roadmaps in a lot of ways, which is that generally speaking, everything else being equal, there's no such thing, or it's vanishingly rare to find what I would call like hidden value. Like the things that are useful are usually pretty obviously useful. Like, oh, this system breaks every month. Fixing it means it won't be broken every month. Or like, you know, 30 customers said they'd pay us for this. Like the 31st is probably not going to, like 30 out of 30 said they'd pay us for this. The 31st is probably not going to be like, hey, this is a real piece of trash. There's no incentive for that to happen. There's no incentive for the universe to sort of obscure value from you. And I think that this idea that there is comes from actually an older time in consumer tech where people like didn't know how to interact with a technical product. Like the first time you pull out like a cordless mouse or something, people would be like, what is this? I don't know how to use this. Or like a touchscreen phone. They're like, I don't understand. Like, I'm not used to dealing with this. It's just like not how most services work anymore. For example, if we look at something like ChatGPT and Claude and all of these new AI products, when those things launched, people weren't like, whoa, this thing doesn't seem like it has value. Everyone looked at it and said, basically, this looks like it has either some value or a lot of value. And you can sort of debate where it falls on the spectrum, but it's like pretty obvious. And then the features that people want, they all kind of resonate. They all sort of rhyme with one another. I think that people dramatically overthink this idea that they're sort of like, truffle pigs sticking their faces in the dirt trying to find something that might be valuable when you can literally just go like observe the immediate surroundings and see what's going on.
yeah. And I think that like, you know, not being able to find value, or sort of like having continuous debates about is this going to be the right thing, or obvious smoke that you're not heading in the right direction. We're running low on time. The last thought I would share is like often people can get put in situations where you encourage bad behavior because you deeply tie a resourcing exercise with a road mapping exercise, and you do it on a long time scale. So if you go and you say every February we're doing a yearly planning, and in that yearly planning you have to do a whole year of a roadmap, and in that whole year roadmap that's what's going to justify your entire resourcing for the year, then people are going to do all this false precision road mapping, and you're going to allocate a bunch of resources in a way where you don't know what's going to happen in 7 months. That's the way a lot of companies do yearly planning. I would encourage everyone, separate the what to do from the what you need to do it. It'll create purity in both of those signals. And also, don't try to resource everything a year in advance. Tell people we'll give you 3 months, 6 months of resourcing, and then we'll figure it out from there. But especially in a world as fast moving as the current one with AI and all of that, doing sort of like full year resource allocation in the beginning of the year is a fool's errand, and that kind of drives into this sort of like false precision road mapping exercise that ends up being sort of sad for everybody.
Yeah, my final thought on this would be that you also can't let your ego get tied to some future roadmap item. I think you sometimes get into a situation where people are feeling like, okay, we have to build this because we told someone else that we will build it. This is like, it's like the opposite of a catch-22. If you're going to pull something off of a roadmap and your customers don't freak out, then you should be cutting that. And if you try to pull something off a roadmap and your customers do freak out, then why are you pulling it? They just told you emphatically exactly what they want. And I think that what can end up happening, especially on a bigger team, a more corporate environment, is that you've sort of staked your reputation on something getting done in the future with a certain level of specificity. And that's just really not the way to accomplish the actual goal that we're here to accomplish, which is we write the software and we turn the software into money. And that is sort of the mechanism that you are trying to operate. And whether or not your reputation is staked to something is completely orthogonal to that.
Yeah, I'd love to follow up on that topic in particular because that whole sort of domain of like I told a bunch of people a thing and if I change it, is that going to make me look bad? Is a very fascinating one, especially at the executive level. But with that
Yep.
said, we are at time. Sassy PM. I hope you have a great weekend. Sassy audience. We will talk soon. Thanks.
Thanks.